Have you ever wanted something so badly, but you just keep moving further and further away from it and getting in your own way, and you can't figure out why you're staying stuck? Where you set a goal and you start working toward it, but before you know it, you're all the way back to where you began. And this can show up like procrastinating something that is really meaningful to you, and you keep putting it off and putting it off, and you cannot figure out why. It could be starting routines, but then dropping them and not following through, and then wondering, why do I keep dropping my routines? It could be saying no to opportunities that are actually good for you, that would help you grow. It could be staying in situations that you know are not aligned for you. You know that they are bad for you, but you just find yourself continuing to stay in them and you cannot figure out why. And a big one is just avoiding any sort of visibility, any sort of opportunity that means that you will actually be seen, any sort of opportunity that actually means you have to grow and step into the unknown and be uncomfortable. All of these situations are self-sabotaging. And a lot of people think it's just because they lack discipline or they lack motivation. But what if it's your body's way of actually protecting yourself? What if there's something deeper going on inside? And that knowing what's going on inside is what actually will get you moving forward. That is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk all about self-sabotage, what it means, what it looks like, how it shows up, and how to actually start overcoming it so you can start growing toward your goals. If you're new here, welcome to the Serenity Nest. This is a channel where we talk about finding direction in life if you're feeling lost, identity, shadow work, and moving forward. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. I have my notes right here, so let's get into it. Sometimes we don't even know that we're self-sabotaging. It can be really difficult to spot, and it might just be like this feeling of I just keep getting in my own way and I don't know why. Like I mentioned earlier, this can show up as starting routines and dropping them, or saying no to opportunities that you know are really good for you, or even like avoiding certain situations that you really want or you really desire, and you just keep like pushing them away and moving back into the place where you don't want to be. It can be so frustrating to have these desires and have these wants and just continue to get in your own way and feel stuck, and finding it so difficult to figure out like how to get over those humps so that you can actually be where you want to be. One of the most important things that you can do when trying to overcome self-sabotage is starting to look for the signs that it's actually happening. So emotionally, if you find that you are dreading your next steps in your growth journey, like if you do say yes to an opportunity, or you're starting to work on a creative project, or you're starting a job that actually fulfills you, and you get a sense of dread, and you're actually not excited for it all of a sudden, and you feel very intimidated and you feel very overwhelmed, and all of a sudden you just don't want to do it anymore, that's a perfect sign of self-sabotage. And sometimes you actually act on it and sabotage those opportunities for yourself, even if you know that that's where you wanted to be initially. And this can also show up as a sudden loss of motivation. So your motivation to do this just suddenly drops. So you have a lot of motivation in the beginning, you're super excited, you devote a lot of time to working toward this goal, and then all of a sudden your motivation drops when things actually start moving forward. When things actually start succeeding or things actually start progressing, your motivation just totally drops. It also shows up as like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll worry about it later. A lot of like procrastinating and shoving things off for later, not really having like a timeline, but just telling yourself that you'll handle it when the time comes. And a big one is overthinking small steps. And I have done this so much in my own life, where I have really overthought like small steps toward a goal, or you have this big goal or you have this big vision, and you're starting to overthink all of the little things instead of actually taking action. A lot of people struggle with this, and it can be so frustrating to actually take those steps forward when all you're doing is getting in your own head. Some signs that you're self-sabotaging in terms of like your actual behavior and your actual action steps would be starting and then stopping, starting and then stopping. Like it's like a lack of consistency almost. So you're starting and then you're stopping, and then you find yourself starting again and finding motivation, and then you lose the motivation and stop, and then you start again, and you just keep this cycle going, but you're not actually making progress because you're not being consistent. Perfectionism is a big one when it comes to this too, like needing everything to be perfect and setting very unrealistic expectations for yourself that you will never meet and that nobody would ever meet. And because you're doing this, that's also leading to inaction. So you never actually take those steps, or the steps that you take are never really good enough, so you just stop anyway. And similar to what I said before, distracting yourself when things actually start going, when things actually start moving and progressing and growing, you start to all of a sudden distract yourself, or you start to create problems by yourself that don't exist naturally. Or you start pushing away your goal, or you start withdrawing a little bit and separating yourself from your goal when things again start going well. And finally, there's signs in terms of what we tell ourselves. Our thoughts, our mindset, the voice in our head, our inner critic, comes up. And these are like the signs where self-sabotage comes up as like words, as voices in your head, where it's saying, I'm not good enough. Who am I to be doing this? I'm not this kind of a person. A big one people think is it won't last anyway, or like what I reach will not be what I actually want. And so when you're thinking all of these things, even in the moment, even if it feels frustrating and confusing as to why you're doing it, it still almost in a funny way feels logical, because it's almost like if you have a fear of being seen and you're stopping yourself from reaching a goal that involves being seen, it feels like your brain is telling you to do the right thing. It feels like you're doing the right thing and you feel safe and you feel like you're protecting yourself from a goal that is not aligned with you. But the reality is that these goals are actually aligned with you, or else you wouldn't have these visions, or wouldn't have these desires in the first place if they weren't aligned with you. It wouldn't even cross your mind. So even though it feels logical or feels like you're protecting yourself, you're not actually doing so. That's not what's actually happening. And that's what brings us to what the core of self-sabotage actually is. And that's because you are trying to build a life that belongs to someone, that belongs to an identity, a version of yourself that is not who you actually believe you are. That is the root basis of all self-sabotage. It is a fear and an identity misalignment to who you are striving to be and who you actually believe you are. So when you push everything else away and you like get rid of all of the like things that are kind of clouding your vision, all the things that are like, oh, I think I'm protecting myself. Oh, I'll just do that later. Oh, like procrastinating, like all these things, blah, 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 blah. And you get to the core root of it. The core root could be in your situation, I don't think I'm confident enough. I don't think I'm creative enough. I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm worthy of being seen. I don't think I'm worthy of being loved. I don't think I'm capable. I don't think I can handle that much responsibility. I don't think I can handle that much expectation being placed on me or that much pressure being placed on me. I don't think that I'm a disciplined person. I don't think that I'm capable of being successful. All of these thoughts, all of these beliefs, these core beliefs is what's driving your self-sabotage. You just have to figure out which one it is, because whichever one it is, that is what is keeping you stuck. And that's why your behaviors and your actions keep going back to what you're familiar with. And just because you're familiar with something does not mean that it's good for you. That's just what your nervous system is familiar with. It's what's comfortable. But that does not mean that it's actually good for you. That does not mean that it's actually following your heart and where you want to be and your desires. That's only what your nervous system knows. Because think about it, if you have a core belief about your identity, that has been with you for such a long time and has been shaped by so many different things, like your experiences, your setbacks, your accomplishments, your relationships, everything in your life that you've experienced up until this point. So that's what your nervous system is comfortable with. That seems safe, even though it's not doing you any good. And so this foreign new identity, this new core belief that is of someone who is actually reaching your goal is so foreign to you. It's like that doesn't even, it's a mismatch. It's a misalignment to who you actually believe you are. Not only that, but that core identity belief of the person that is living your desires is rooted in a deeper shadow fear. So a fear of something. These are all fears. So your current identity doesn't just hold what you're comfortable with, but your new identity holds a fear that you have, a core fear that you have. And that could be built from so many different things, like shame or like memories you have, deep emotional core memories or wounds that you have. So when you think about it that way, self-sabotage is literally your shadow parts protecting you from that identity expansion. So some ways of putting this really simply is, if you think of being successful, that comes with a fear of rejection. If you think of being consistent, that comes with a fear of failure. Some really big ones are, if you think of happiness, that comes with a fear of loss. If you think of being seen, that comes with a fear of judgment. So no wonder your shadow parts keep coming up and protecting you from all of these things, because they seem so unsafe. And so it keeps trying to protect you and bring you back to what's familiar, even if that's not good for you. Because if you stay over here and you don't try to be successful, then there's no chance of rejection. If you stay over here and avoid being seen, then there's no chance of judgment. If you stay over here and try not to be happy, then there's no chance of loss. So all of these things are playing it safe. But do you really want to stay over here? Do you really want to keep living in this identity that is keeping you in the same patterns that you've been living in for your life and you're familiar with and you're used to it, but you're not happy and you're not following your heart? Or do you want to start healing and growing and pursuing this vision, these desires that you have of being the identity that you want to be over here? Because the reward is being successful and being happy and being seen and being loved, gaining a sense of belonging, reaching your goals, creating something beautiful, all of these things that you envision this identity doing. And I don't even like when people say like trying to be who you want to be, because I truly believe that people are already that person inside. I really believe that all of these shadow parts and all of these sides of yourself that have kept you safe all of these years and all of these beliefs you have about yourself are almost clouding that. And once you start pushing those away and kind of moving through it and accepting those and really recognizing that they're there and doing the healing, then the core you will come out, and that's who you always were. You are already this person that you envision for yourself. It's just, it's being clouded by some of these other things going on. So when you're trying to overcome this, and I can actually make another video on this, you have to bring awareness to what's going on. It just starts with the awareness. What shows up for you when you're trying to do all these things, or when you notice that you're not making progress toward your goals? And what is the core fear? What is the core reason behind that that's driving it? It's deeper than I just want to push it off till later. It's deeper than, oh, I'll do it later, I'm just procrastinating. It's deeper than these expectations that you're setting for yourself. It's deeper than all of these things. There is a core fear or multiple core fears that are driving your behavior. What is it? Because that core fear is probably the number one thing that you need to focus on your inner growth journey that's going to have the greatest impact on your life. And once you identify what that root fear is, and you know what the identity gap is and where there's a misalignment, start taking small steps to it. Don't expect to do this overnight, but just start taking small steps. Start taking small actions toward that. Now that you have that awareness, it will become easier to actually take those steps because you know what's actually going on. And this comes through small consistency, small daily actions, repetition, even small and gentle exposures to things that align with this new identity, so that you can reteach your nervous system and teach yourself that you are actually safe. It just takes some work getting there. So self-sabotage does not mean that you are lacking discipline, that you lack motivation, that you're lazy, all of these things that people think about themselves. It simply means that you are misaligned. You have a core fear that is driving that misalignment, and you just need to bring in some awareness, some insight, and recognize what these patterns actually are. And it definitely doesn't mean that you're broken. It means that you're on your inner growth journey, and that takes time, patience, and kindness with yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insights on how to start overcoming your self-sabotage. And again, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.